there's a bigger game, arguably, on Saturday in the league, and that's a question that I've seen a lot of people asking. Glenn, is Tuesday night bigger than Saturday, or would you rather take the win on Saturday and get the 3 points?
There's 5 days, isn't there, between the so I'm a great believer in playing the game that's in front of you. I mean, it's obvious that the Blackpool game was the one to rest the players in. That's obvious, but this is huge. This Newcastle game, not more so now because of the way they reacted when Chileta got sent off. Yeah. And I've got this ideal scenario in my head where Chileta scores a header in the 95th minute for us to win 2-0, and he just stand there like that, just stand in front of the whole bench.
Sorry, I appreciate that doesn't really translate if you're listening to the podcast. But we're all doing the wave.
I was doing the Jacob Murphy.
I genuinely forgot he was a thing.
Yeah,
I had no idea he played for them.
Yeah, but it's like I said about Sean Longstaff getting in the referee's face. You take the rubbish player, and he thinks he's the big man, and so yeah. To quote Kevin Keegan, I would love it if we beat them. It would be fantastic because there is a narrative in the media that somehow Newcastle were this destined to win a trophy this year and everything, and everyone seems to have forgotten about the Saudi Arabia thing. So
they've all booked their hotel rooms, haven't they, for the final and sorting out how they're going to get down.
I really hope we win, and all of those hotel rooms are non-refundable.
Yeah, it'd be great.
That's the ideal scenario for Tuesday.
So I'd love, we've got a puncher's chance going up there, but we have to throw some punches. So hopefully we can go out there and give it a good go. Okay. Back to the original question.
Yeah, probably can't win it on a Homer Simpson style knockout, can we?
So no, I disagree. I think you forget about the Brentford game until after Newcastle's over, but when we go to Brentford, we have to. It's a similar game in lots of ways. You're playing against a big physical side who, if you don't stand up to them, are going to run all over you, and that's what happened when we played Brentford last year, where it was probably in a crowded field the worst performance of the season, and we were awful. And of course, everyone knows that's the one where the away fans en masse first turned on. That
was
Ralph.
A huge turning point, wasn't it, in regards to the manager and?
Well, it was kind. I think it was. Yeah, it was kind of the straw.
It had been building, hadn't it?
Yeah, it was. So no, I think. I mean, Brentford is a very, very difficult game. They're very set up in their system. They got an excellent manager who I hoped we were going to appoint, but we didn't. So that is a very tough game at Brentford, and again we have to concentrate on that one after this Newcastle one, as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, what have you made of Brentford so far this season, Steve? Because we need to preview that game because that's on Saturday. So we're not. Obviously, it was Sport Republic's first game, wasn't it? When we absolutely tonked them at St Mary's, and then contrasting fortunes couldn't be any different when we were last there. So what have you made? Because they seem to be back in form.
Yeah, they've got themselves into a position now where they're kind of comfortable in their own skin. I think their issue this more or less this time, well, what was it, early January last year, when we absolutely smashed them, was they were on that bad run of form and just didn't seem to really have any confidence in the way they were playing anymore. The keeper was out injured, so they had a backup in who wasn't as good at playing the system as David Raya is. And the defence was giving away silly goals. I mean, now you've got Pontus Jansson doesn't get in that team anymore. So they've obviously improved in personnel. The midfield has got stronger. I mean, more or less immediately after we beat them, they went and signed Christian Eriksen for the rest of the season, and that was essentially the signing that kept them up, because all of a sudden the game was being played through him, and the experience and the quality that he brings just encouraged the rest of the players to bring it up a level. Obviously, they weren't able to keep hold of him, but they've made signings to plug that gap now. I mean, it'd be interesting to see what happens off the field in terms of Ivan Toney's betting situation, because there's a possibility that could be a sizable ban if he's sort of found guilty on all counts and stuff. Given that Joey Barton was banned for 18 months. For about 3 times the number of bets. So
And he's a top scorer, isn't he? Is it 13 goals this season?
Yes,
So.
yeah. I mean, without him, they don't look the same team. And Bremo's a good player, but he's a good player alongside Tony. I don't think Mbeumo's quite the sort of player you want playing that role, the sort of target man role. Because I mean, let's be fair with Brentford, they're a direct team. They do get, as well as being able to play, they're absolutely more than happy to pump the ball long to Tony and let the ball stick and play off around him. So you've got to be sort of willing to play that battle as well as the sort of neat and tidy stuff through the centre and midfield that they play. So yeah, it's kind of a two-pronged system that they play. So we've got to get to grips with that, which we absolutely didn't do. There in when was that? Early May, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. So do you think, Alfie, we're going to end up with the tallest defenders get picked, and that's how it goes? Because he's obviously talked about. I know he said after Tuesday night, he said, for example, we're getting better defensively, but we're going to have to be a hell of a lot better if we're going to Brentford and hoping to get something out of that game.
Yeah, and I think he actually mentioned that James Bree I've seen James Bree reported as like 5'7", 5'8". Apparently he's 6'1". That's what James told us on Friday. So he's just signed another one of those that you can add to the land of giants, as he calls it. But Brentford are actually very good defensively as well. This side of the break, they've been very good. I think they played the last 5 games. They've conceded twice, and they played Liverpool and West Ham twice in that time.
Yeah.
They're in good form. When is Ivan Toney actually getting banned? I took him out my fantasy team, and that's really, really gone poorly for me. But I think, like you say, last season was so poignant. I know it was all a build-up, but that when the fans turned on Ralph Hasenhuttl and he came in, and he never really looked at us the same way again. He bit to our answers and stuff. So that was an interesting game back in May. But yeah, interesting what happens. I'm the same as Glen. I haven't thought about Brentford at all. I've got to be honest. I thought only about Newcastle in the last couple of days. And not that I'm preparing for the game to get out there with my boots on or anything, but just I can't even think about next Saturday.
Of course, there's so much to happen. We've got the game on Tuesday night, and of course the transfer window closing. So we can talk about who might start up front or who might start in midfield. There might be somebody coming in that we're not aware of. Hopefully, he says, looking skies. I'm going to ask you all for a score prediction in just a moment. If you're watching live on Sunday night, you can stick your score predictions in the comments as well for the Brentford game, which is on Saturday. Steve, do you want to go first with a prediction?
I mean, I think, depending on how Tuesday goes, I think emotionally there's going to be a bit of a sort of bounce.
There's a lot of ifs and buts, isn't there?
Yeah, so I suspect Saturday's probably a little bit of a free hit, and they'll probably edge it. So I suspect 2-1 defeat.
2-1 loss. Glenn, I'll come to you next.
Brentford we're talking about. I think Brentford always remind me of Brighton in one way, in that you seem to be able to take a player out of their team and they've got someone else to slot in and they do the same job. So if Tony's playing or if he's not, he was missing a game a couple of weeks ago, injured, and they brought in Visser, who did a very similar job. Another sort of big lad up front who's quite quick. So I think we're going to struggle, to be honest. And I'll go for a 2-0 defeat in that Brentford game. See, they've broken me. I can't be positive anymore. Broken.
I am going to go with a 1-0 defeat because I can't see us keeping the clean sheet. And Alfie?
I'm playing the percentages. I've gone 1-1 in both the last 2 games. They've lost 1-0, so I'm going to go 1-1 again.
Right. Thank you for the predictions as well.